In Terraria, there are no shortage of different items, with there being a good chance a normal player will never see all of them. But certain items were completely removed from Terraria for various reasons. In this video, we will take a look at everything that has been removed from Terraria, and why it was removed. Before we get into this video, I quickly want to go over a few things. Firstly, when I say removed items or features, I'm only talking about things that you could see for yourself in Terraria through normal means, and not stuff that was only added to the game's files but was never officially added to the game. This means, while we will look at stuff like Akram and the removed pets, we will not look at stuff like the mythical event and Soul Scythe. Lastly, since so many of these were removed for the same reason, which was to make the Terraria experience the same across all versions, and to stop myself from sounding like a broken record throughout this video, if I don't say any reason as to why it was removed, then it was taken out for the reason I just went over. With that out of the way, let's begin. For our first section, let's take a look at the bosses. Starting with the most well-known boss, we of course have Akram. This boss was originally added as one of the first console exclusives in the form of a new endgame boss, and had the battle system of the Brain and Eye of Cthulhu. Besides just being an exclusive feature, this boss would also drop some of the best armor in the game for its time, making it definitely worth your time to farm. Sadly though, Akram was removed in an attempt to make all versions the same, which you'll see become a trend later on in this video. For the next boss, we have Lepus. This was a mobile and 3DS only boss that was a part of the exclusive Easter season and was summonable at the start of the game. This boss would always drop its summoning item, the suspicious looking egg, allowing to easily farm it to get its other exclusive items, which are the Bunny Hood, Egg Cannon, and Boots of Ostara. Finally, the last boss that was ever removed from Terraria was Terkor the Ungrateful. Just like Lepus, this boss was a mobile and 3DS exclusive, and was a part of the exclusive Thanksgiving season. The big difference though between Terkor and Lepus is the fact that Terkor has only one exclusive item, the Horn o' Plenty, which it will always drop, but like Lepus again, it is just its summoning item. Next, let's take a look at all of the pets that were removed. There are surprisingly a lot of pets that ended up being removed, with most of them being console and mobile exclusive. The first set of pets are the ones I have on screen now, and are just normal Terraria enemies turned into pets. These were likely removed to stop people confusing them with real enemies, but were also removed for the same reason the next set of pets were removed. Next, the pets I have on screen now were just normal original pets added in by Relogic to give different versions of Terraria exclusive items. But recently, in an attempt to get all of the versions to be more alike, they were removed. Moving on, the final set of pets are ones that were either references or collabs with other games and brands. The Android pet was of course meant for Android devices. The Worms pet would give you a special tombstone when you died. And finally, the Old Lady pet is a reference to the Worms games, like the Worm, but it doesn't do anything special. Now let's take a look at all of the weapons that were removed, which were all on console and mobile. Starting with the Tanbogiri and Tizona, these two weapons both had similar crafting recipes and did decent damage. After that, we have the Sharanga bow, which would turn any arrow shot through it into a Spectre arrow, making it pretty useful depending on when you would get it. And to mirror that weapon, we have the Vulcan repeater, which would turn any arrow shot through it into a Vulcan bolt. The final three weapons were only on the 3DS and mobile version, but were removed for the same reason as the ones I listed above, which I'll get into at the end of this section. First up, we have the Holy Hand Grenade, which was an explosive that would deal a shocking 600 damage. After that, we have the Roman Candle, which, just like its name suggests, would shoot out fireworks that deal 10 damage each. And finally, we have the Heart Arrow, which would stun enemies for 1.5 seconds when shot with one. Sadly though, the Heart Arrow and all of the weapons I just went over were all removed in an attempt to make the Terraria experience the same across all platforms. For the next section of this video, let's take a look at the Vanity and Armor sets, starting with the Dragon, Spectral, and Titan armor. These sets were mobile and console exclusives, and were considered some of the best armor in the game, with all of them dropping from Akram. Next up, we have the Fabulous set and George's set, which are references to the actor George Takei, and were on both mobile and console. After that, we have the Sparkle Wings, which ended up being replaced by Synix's wings. Moving on to the stuff that was only on mobile now, we have the Valentine Ring, which would decrease fall damage by 50% and jump height by 50% as well. After that, we have the Boots of Ostara, which would give you 3 defense and make grass when walking over dirt. And finally, the last removed item is the Festival Top Hat, which would do nothing special. For the next section, let's take a look at all of the removed critters and enemies. The first set of enemies, which I have on screen now, were just beefed up versions of their normal forms, so no need to spend a long time on those. Moving on to the only 3DS and mobile exclusives, we have the Disaster Bunnies, which will spawn out of the eggs thrown by Lepus. Sticking to bosses, Akram also had a special enemy that would spawn from him, which was the Servant of Akram. Next, we have the Corruption Slime, which, just like it sounds, was a slime that spawned in the corruption. But unlike regular slimes, this one would break into 3 smaller slimes when killed. And finally, we have the Orca, and while it is a whale and not a shark, it is essentially a beefed up shark. Finally, for the last section of this video, let's look at the items that don't really fit into any other category. First up, we have the Biome Key molds, which, unlike most items in this video, were on all versions of Terraria. Just like the name suggests, this would let you make specific biome keys, so you could make opening up a locked chest a lot easier. And you were able to get the key molds as a 0.04% drop from almost all enemies, making them one of the rarest things in Terraria. Sadly though, the Biome Key molds were removed in the 1.3.0.1 update and replaced by regular keys. Next up, we have the Rainbow Pieces. This was a mobile exclusive item that was used to craft the pet leprechaun and would act like falling stars, with them falling from the sky and disappearing at night, but would only fall on St. Patrick's Day. After that, we have these 6 music boxes, which were likely removed due to them being the old soundtracks, other than the tutorial and Boss 4 music, which were most likely removed since the part of the game that held that music was removed, like Akram and the tutorial world. Finally, the last removed item is a 3DS and mobile exclusive, and was this item, which I'm not gonna try and pronounce since I know I'll butcher it. This shoe-shaped drink could be purchased from the traveling merchant for 9 silver and 95 copper, and would grant you a buff that would take the damage you deal and receive and cut it in half. That wraps up all of the removed items from Terraria. If you made it this far into the video, be sure to comment Biome Key and let me know if you would want to see any of these items returned to Terraria. Thanks for sticking to the end. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Terraria videos like this in the future. And as always, make sure to have a wonderful day.